In this video, I'm going to talk about relative cell reference and absolute cell reference in Excel. Consider this worksheet. Here we have a pi value, here labels, and we have the circle ratio of 10, 20, 30, and here we have another cell ratios, and it is 30, 40, and 50. Now, I want to calculate the circle area and the value of the circles. So here I write a formula. So what is the area formula? Is 2 times this ratio to the power of 2. So it means this will be multiplied twice, and this is multiplied by this value. Now we run here. When I drag this here, as you can see, we have problems. Why? Because when I want to access this relative reference that we give in the above cell is now this one, and if I check the next value, he's giving an error because it's not a number, it's just a text. Now what we want is, for all of these formulas, we want this pi number, not other cells. So we need to make sure that this value should be static, or we need to give an absolute reference, because the relative reference is changing the cell value. So now if you want to give an absolute referencing, here we come to see the difference between the relative and the absolute referencing. So in relative reference, the cell changes, but in absolute reference, the cell does not change. So how can we specify a cell reference as a absolute but not relative? It's simple. So we click here. Now in this formula, beside giving the cell reference, which is B1, we put a $sign here. It means it should not change the column, and it should not change the row values also, because in here the B is reference to the B column and 1 is a reference to the row 1. Now I enter, and in this way we are referencing to this cell. Pardon, I see here we need to put this $sign before the letter B. So now we are saying that the B should not change, and also the reference number should not change. Else, everything else will be changed, and it's fine. So now when I use the fill handle to copy this formula, as you can see, it's working. When I see here, the other references changed, but this one does not change. So this is it. This is called an absolute cell referencing. Now, if I copy this formula to here, we have another column called circle area, which calculates the circle area for these circles with these ratios. And if I drag it, it's still working. It is still referencing to this value. Now, sometimes we might need to change the column number or the row number. We can use an partial absolute referencing, which is I will tell you right now. Now I want to calculate the circle value. Let's say our circle value is based on its ratio and its label. So what we want is this. When I click here, and here I multiply the circle ratio by the label. Now I'm writing this formula which multiplied these two cells, and if I drag it here, now it's working fine. But if I want to copy this to here, now it's not working properly. Why? Because we do not have the label here. The label is the label is just in this column here in the left side. So what we need to do is we need to use a partial absolute referencing. So in here I am writing a $sign before this B. So before this A here, it should not change this column, but it should change the rows. So in this way, I'm saying that, okay, this part is relative, but this part should not be relative, it should be absolute. In this way, when I drag it here, it does not change anything here, but if I copy now here, it's working. Why? Because it's saying that, okay, take this one relative, take these values also relative, but the column should be absolute and it should not change. This is the difference between relative value cell referencing and absolute cell referencing in Excel.